Have you ever come across couples or relationships that make you think, that one to end in tears? Or better yet, they make you beg the question, what do you discuss when you're dating? Today let's talk about some topics you need to discuss before you even think about popping the question or saying yes to that question. Religion. You need to discuss your religions, especially if you're from different religions. If you're like me, I'm a born again Christian, and the Bible tells us not to be unequally yoked with non-believers. And I've got to realize and admit that whatever the Bible tells us not to do, it is usually for our own good. So you need to discuss religion or spirituality with your partner before you get married. I'll give you an example. If you're from different religions and you're thinking of having a union, usually people assume people from different religions, when they get married, the woman will automatically take on the man's religion. But to some people, that is not the case. So here comes a challenge. When you have children, which religion will they belong to? The man will want them to belong to his religion, and the woman, because she spends more time with them, she will nurture them in her religion because that is what she knows. And that might bring friction in the family, Let's say it's a Sunday and the family is going to church. Which church are we going to? The man's or the woman's? What kind of spiritual values are you instilling in your kids? That is likely to be a challenge if you don't address it before you get married. So definitely, religion is to be discussed before marriage. Children. I've come across couples who didn't have this discussion before getting married. You find the woman wants to have a certain number of children, the man wants a certain number of children, and they totally ignore that. Sometimes you hear comments like, oh, it's the woman to decide how many kids she wants to have. Like, in this era, how do you even get to that conclusion? Discuss if you want to have children or not in your marriage. If you don't, give your reasons. If your partner is okay with that, then you can go ahead and get married. But if you want to have children, it is key you get to know the number of children you want to have. Also, you discuss in case we cannot have children, because it's one thing to want children and it's the other to be able to bear children. So you need to discuss that as well. In case you cannot bear children, what is the next step? Are you considering adoption? Are you considering a surrogate? What is the way forward? Is it a deal breaker? Yeah. Sometimes you hear couples are like, I don't marry a woman before she's pregnant. I need to be sure she can have kids. But we are way past that way of doing things. Now science has come in and you can easily get to know whether your partner is fertile or not for both male and female. You can have tests to confirm, that both partners are fine, they're both fertile and they can both have children, other than doing it the other way. Ladies, please, let's change the narrative. Don't accept to be made a mother before you have been wifed. No. Don't be dragged into that way of thinking. There are other ways of finding out if you can have kids or not. So discuss that with your partner before getting married. Finance. This is a subject that some people usually avoid a lot of times, and because it is usually assumed automatically that the man will do all the financing, he will cover all the bills. But in this current day and era, you find that sometimes one source of income is not enough to cover all the household expenses. And if the woman is working, she's earning, it is helpful for her to chip in and cover things here and there. Now, you need to discuss that with your partner. How you're going to be handling the finances in the family. Are you going to contribute a certain percentage? Are you going to contribute to have joint accounts? That is another thing. Are you going to have joint accounts? Are you bringing all the money together and then decide how to spend it? Or are you going to have individual accounts and then contribute towards a certain goal? When you may be making big item purchases and all that, you need to discuss those things with your partner so that when you get there, you don't be like, oh, that woman is not helpful, oh, that woman is not doing this. You need to know what your partner's beliefs about financial management are. Careers and education. I've always wondered why men marry career-oriented women and then subject them to stay home. And if you're out there, like men, please do let me know in the comment section below. Why do you marry a career-driven woman when you know you want a housewife? I don't get it. And then you reach there, she's trying to pursue her career, and then you start guilt-tripping her, you start, complaining she's not submissive, she's not listening to you, she's not staying home to be a housewife. And yet from the word go, you knew she's career-driven. That is her dream. She loves to work. She loves to, to better herself each and every day. Why did you guys do that? Anyway, you need to discuss careers. You need to know your partner's career expectations. Do they want to go for further studies? When are they planning to do that? Because I've seen couples, who still pursue their careers and they're still happily married. You find the woman leaving the country to go, do a master's or a scholarship abroad and leaves the man at home with the kids, and things still move on smoothly. So you need to discuss what you want to do in the near future. Your partner has to be in the know so that when you get there, they're not like, oh, she's selfish, oh, he's selfish, he's doing this for herself alone, he's not considering me and all that. It helps to reduce all that kind of drama if you get to discuss these things before you're married. You go in there when your partner knows what to expect and you also know what to expect. So discuss careers and education. Expectations. You need to discuss your expectations. Lay them out there with your partner. You need to discuss your physical expectations, sexual expectations, emotional expectations. These are some things that actually become such a big deal in marriage if not discussed prior, because you might be expecting to be treated a certain way but your partner has no idea. They have no clue that is how you want things. So you need to be clear, come out and say, I expect this level of hygiene, I expect this level of sexual satisfaction, I expect this level of emotional support. You need to be open and if discuss it with your partner to see if they are able to fulfill those or to meet your demands or not. To some people that might be a deal breaker, and at the end of the day sometimes you hear people misbehaving and give that as an excuse. Oh, my partner is not meeting my needs, oh, my partner is not doing it the way I want it. And you wonder, did you have that discussion before? So do discuss expectations with your partner. Discuss, bucket lists, what you want to do, where you want to go, things like that. It really does come in handy. It really does help. How to deal with family. Well, this is a tricky one. Dealing with family is kind of tricky. So you need to discuss it with your partner before getting married, so you find mechanisms of handling that. You might find that one partner is okay with their home being occupied by whoever is coming to town and they are stuck, whichever relative has problems, they come and stay at his place or her place. Whoever needs help, they call them. Financial help here and there, they always call them. You need to discuss all that with your partner. Discuss, if we get married, are we allowing relatives to stay at our house, or are they only visiting and leaving? In case they are staying over, if we are allowing relatives to stay with us, in case they are staying over, in case there's some sort of conflict, who handles it? If it's your relative and they're misbehaving, do I confront them, or do I tell you and you confront them and handle them? Because those things contribute to how the family looks at you, or to how the family perceives you. If for you you're always confrontational because you want things to be done a certain way, the other family might be like, you better avoid that. And then the same goes if your relatives are always calling your partner asking for money. Who handles that? It's you, to put them in their place. It is not your husband's place to put your relatives in their place. So you need to discuss best mechanisms you're going to use while handling relatives, because sometimes they're a pain in the neck. So have that discussion. Family health history. This might seem minor, but it's actually important, because at the end of the day, this will affect your children. It will affect your offspring. So as we were getting married, one of the prerequisites at our church, you need to present a HIV test and sickle cell tests. You need to discuss some of those family histories to know if you're in position to handle such things. You've seen some people who will give birth to kids who have sickle cells or who have any kind of disease that is chronic, and you find that the woman just dumps the kid there with the relatives and all that, because they don't have the emotional capacity, to stick around with those kids. We've had other people who claim, they are cursed, the kid is cursed, or things like that, or those who give birth to albinos, or this and that. We've had a lot of theories about such things. So it is key to have a sit down with your partner and discuss family history. Are you likely to have a bipolar kid? Are you likely to have an autistic kid? I'm not saying those things are only, inherited or only chronic. And I'm not saying they only happen to those families that have them in their lineage, but it does help to prepare you mentally and know ways of how to curb and handle such things. So do discuss family health history before you get married. Political views. This might seem minor, but if you look at the statistics during the elections, there were a lot of domestic violence cases because of a difference in political views. You find a man is supporting this political party and the woman is for another party, and you find them clashing all the time. So if you find men who are like boys in adult bodies, if you find such men, you find that they try to impose their political views on the woman. They try to be like, I'm the man of the house, so whatever I say goes. So you need to follow whatever I follow. You need to be supportive of my political views. Yet in this day and era, a woman has a voice. We are allowed to speak. We are allowed to have a difference in opinion. It doesn't mean that I'm right or you're right or wrong. It's just a difference in opinion. And you need to discuss such things before you get there. You need to discuss how to handle those small and what might look like minor conflicts. Let's say even soccer. In my household, I support a different team. My husband is of another team. And sometimes we are, playing against each other, and sometimes I'm cheering and booing him, and sometimes he's doing the same. But when all is done, we enter the bedroom when we're all happy. Nothing is nothing is taken personal. You need to know if your partner has the emotional intelligence to handle the difference in political views, in opinions and all that before you get in there. So those are some of the few things you need to discuss with anyone. You need to discuss with your partner before considering to marry them. So if you like the content in this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing and click the notification bell. Ciao.